I wanted to do this video for quite some time. It's a little complex, but my whole series on the end times is making it for anyone to understand. So this is something that's possibly been mistranslated and then become a mainstream Christian idea concerning Daniel 8. So let's just get right to it. Daniel 8, starting in 11, talking about, of course, the sacrifices. There's two main misconceptions that are possibly infiltrated the Christian church that if you read the ancient Hebrew, they would lead us to two major misconceptions that would cause us to not understand how close to the end we might really be. So the first one is going to be in Daniel 8. These are scriptures 10 to 14, where it talks about something, sacrifices being trampled down. But the word in Hebrew is not sacrifices, it's HATAMID. So the HATAMID is the word in Hebrew. So in English, the current belief for the word HATAMID is sacrifices, which leads people to believe there is going to be a temple, a third temple to be sacrificing in. But the word is not sacrifices, it's HATAMID in Hebrew, which means the continual. So the continual if it means continual, that could mean anything specific, definitely done continually, something honoring the Lord. So there were the burnt offerings, which were a continual sacrifice. So it could be that there are sacrifices and there's a burning of those sacrifices. But it also could mean, and I'm reading from this book called Calculating the Last Seven, which is a super awesome book. You can find it in the link in the description box. Send for your copy. But my and simple understanding is that the continual could be burnt offerings. It could also be bread offerings. But it doesn't have to be either. It could also be something continually. It could be the oil burning, like they burned what Hanukkah is about, when the oil stopped burning and then they had the miracle of oil. So they're burning the oil continually, the eternal flame to the Lord. That's a continual. So when the Antichrist comes, so let me just read from this book, because I think it is good. So there is another continual that the Torah instructs to be arranged at the set-apart place from evening to morning every day, using the same terminology in Daniel 8. Leviticus 24, 1 through 4, Yahweh gives instruction concerning the flame of the lamp in the set-apart place to be kept burning continually in the tent meeting, in the tabernacle tent, housing the set-apart part of Yahweh. So this represents also a meaning of HATAMID. So it doesn't have to be, it's a continual offering, continual burning, continual flame to the Lord. It doesn't have to be a sacrifice. So once you realize it doesn't have to be a sacrifice, then you can start thinking about possibilities that for the third temple, which also in the Hebrew is not the word for temple. It's a word for set apart place. It's a word that could mean tent. So this could also be, it could be about the flame. So the Antichrist might put out the continual, put out the flame, instead of putting out, causing the sacrifices to cease. If you read it with the HATAMID as a continual, he casts down the sanctuary meaning the holy place, which may or may not be a temple, maybe a tabernacle or a tent or a set apart place that the Lord decides. And he opposes the daily HATAMID, the daily continual. Perhaps he causes the lamp to go out, such as happened with the evil king and armies before Hanukkah. So anyway, to get an understanding of that, that'll help you also to not have it locked in your head that there has to be a third temple. Now, I think you should really get this book, and also just there's some other good videos and things I've found on the same subject. I think I have one I can post in below. So the second and more in-depth mainstream belief, which may or may not be biblical, if you study the ancient Hebrew, the word for temple that we have translated so often to meet, so we all, like mainstream Christians, think there's going to be a third temple, but it's just not biblical. So if you're waiting around for the third temple to be built, you might be deceived if you've locked yourself into there has to be a third temple because there has to be sacrifices. Because if the word HATAMID and continual is not meaning sacrifice, if it does mean something else, then we don't have to have a temple. And then if the word temple is not really a temple, then we don't have to have a temple. So that set apart place could already be built. It could already be in the building of. It could be a tent. It could be a tabernacle. So to sum up kind of what this says, and maybe I could do another video too, or put some more info in the box here if anyone's still listening, is to me what I understood when reading the book in the ancient Hebrew is that Jesus is our temple. He became our temple. I doubt if he's going to let another temple be built, but anyway, the bottom line is he never liked temples. Like, he didn't really want to build the temple, but David, remember, wanted to build the temple, and so he said okay. But God always liked to dwell in tents, and he liked to move around, and he's also very discreet, as we know with Jesus when he came. Like, nobody really understood what he was doing. He said, I will destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll rise it up. And nobody really understood that he was the third temple. So in the end times, wouldn't it be that he would remain the character of God and Jesus we've seen all in the Bible? He never makes it obvious. It's never a big show. It's always very few people understand. I mean, when he came, nobody did. Nobody at all. His disciples, no one understood what he was doing. So it's possible right now, most of us don't understand. It's possible I don't understand. I'm not saying I understand everything. I'm just saying that based on the Hebrew words, the word that is used for sanctuary in Daniel chapter 8, the sanctuary being trampled down, does not have to mean temple. It's not the same Hebrew word as the Temple of Solomon. It is a different Hebrew word that could mean temple, could mean tent, could mean set apart place. It is pretty clear scripturally, though, that the set apart place, where of course the Antichrist will set his disgusting idol, will be in Israel, and most likely in Jerusalem, as the scriptures point to. But it doesn't have to be in a specific place in Jerusalem. It isn't clear in any of the scriptures that it has to be on the Temple Mount, for instance. So so getting that in your mind, thinking that there may or may not be a sacrifice. It could be a burning lamp, it could be a burning of bread, or it could be the burning of an animal. And then getting your mind that it may or may not be a temple, and it will be somewhere in Jerusalem, but it could be a tent, it could be a tabernacle, it could be something, a set apart place that Yahweh says is set apart. So once you get that in your mind, you can start to don't wait around, is what I'm saying, for the third temple to be built. And that's obviously the Antichrist. It's like, it's always going to be, until, of course, he sets himself and exalts himself, it's always going to be a little bit iffy, whether that's really happening or not. Now, I believe we're already in the last 7, and I believe that the time of the Antichrist is probably going to be happening next year in 2021 at some point, which means there must be a global economy collapse, probably sometime later on this year. Prophetically, a lot of people and prophetic people, I'm on the same timeline with a lot of prophetic people. It's not like me going, oh, I think that's going to happen. But there's, anyway, so the Antichrist there may already be a set apart place, is what I'm saying. And one person, the writer of this book, who I really respect, since he's my relative and he studies ancient Hebrew all day long, is that it could be that it's already built, and it could be in the Ohel Yitzkor, which is the Jewish Memorial Museum in Jerusalem. Now, I don't know a whole lot about that place. I haven't been there. But I want to make a note too that when my relative was writing this book, he was just doing the genealogy of Jesus. He was just going, I'm going to see if I can really pinpoint a lot of dates along the ways, because he's really into genealogy. So he really just fell into this pattern of 7s, and how God uses those. And of course, we know it's the 49 weeks. I don't know all that stuff, but I know it's all weeks, which are 7, and everything's these patterns of 7. So if you want to study more, you can click on the link below. So this memorial museum, the Ohel Yitzkor, is made to look like a tent, and it's in the shape of a tent structure, basically a temple that looks like a tent. And it was built, happened to be exactly 424 7s of years. The exact number is the Hebrew word kashaka, you're set apart. When you look at the context of the rest of the prophecy surrounding the word set apart, we discover that this was the prophecy in Daniel and the Jewish Ohel Yitzkar. It's a real tent. It's a real sacred place in Jerusalem where they have the memorial for the Holocaust. And my understanding is in the very set apart place, they have the continual. They have the continual lamp burning. They have that burning, which could be the continual that's mentioned in Daniel chapter 8. So they have the continual lamp burning. That is also a very set apart place that looks like a tabernacle or a tent that's like a temple. And it's a very holy place, and it's in Jerusalem. And under the floor are ashes of people actually burned in the Holocaust, and those are very sacred ashes. It's a sacred burial ground memorial for the Jewish people. Now, what could be more sacred than this? I mean, what place could be more set apart and sacred that we actually have built today? I think that there's a surreal finding that when my relative, stumbled on this, I think it's a real finding. And if it's not it's fine. It's okay. It's just to help. My video right now is really to help you get out of your box. God has never been mainstream. Jesus has never been mainstream. He's never blasting the horn, and he's never going to be doing that till the very end when it's over. I mean, you don't have a chance anymore by the time he comes back. You have to already make your decision. So When has he ever been a showy God? He never has. He's been a humble king. I believe he's going to continue to be a humble king until he's the reigning king. So my main thing is to get that out of your mind, that it has to be a temple. And the Jews are going to build the temple, which they are trying to build, by the way. But there may not be time for that actually to get built, and there may not be sacrifices. So if you know that Daniel 8 in the ancient Hebrew is very clear that we do not need to have sacrifices before the Antichrist is going to cause him to seek it to cease. It could be a lamp, it could be a burning of bread. And we also do not have to have a temple biblically in the ancient Hebrew, not in your English Bible. The word for temple is not a building. It's not with stone in a big temple. It could be a tent. It could be a dwelling place. So please open your mind so that you're just not caught off guard, because you don't want to be so locked into some other people's interpretation of the word, and that you won't really be open. Because if the Antichrist rose up next year, for instance, and he decided to trample down the memorialseum, the Ohel Yitzkar in Jerusalem, and he put out the lamp and he trampled the ashes or whatever, I mean, we could be very well seeing a picture of the Antichrist. And it could be not that picture, but just get it in your mind that it could be anything like that. Something in Jerusalem, a set apart place, but it doesn't have to be a temple per se. So if you're a believer and you want to, post nasty comments in my thing that we have to have a temple, just don't, because it doesn't really matter. I'm just really trying to help people who really want to understand and who really maybe are not locked into the mainstream Christianity. Because the signs are all there that we are in the end times. And when the Revelation 12 sign happened in September 2017, I mean, that's what really woke me up after the blood moons. And, the signs are all there. So after this video, I'm going to do a prophetic timeline. I've done some others, but I want to just do kind of a bullet point, super simple. And it may not include that there's a third temple. So that holy place may already be built, or it may be built very quickly if it's a tent. Okay, so God bless you. I mean, Jesus loves us. He's going to help us get through this. But these are just little pearls of wisdom that when I hear something that could be true, I like to open my mind and think about it and really think about my Lord, because he is never in a box. He's never exactly how we think. And so God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. And I also have a Patreon channel starting.